Well, thank you, Casey Kasem there. And, of course, the team of wardrobe knitters who make all these sweaters. He'll be back counting down the US Top 10 next week. Just taking a break from our American theme, being Nighttime USA here on Anglia TV, let me remind you that tomorrow we're giving away a video, which is a British film. The film is Buster. This is the video, of course. A very successful video starring Julie Walters and, what's more, Phil Collins, giving a very excellent performance. The film, of course, about the last great train robber to be caught. The story, of course, takes him to Mexico, where he lived with his wife for a while in exile, trying to avoid being caught by the police. Apart from the video, we're giving away this rather superb transparent shirt. This is a special shirt that I've got. It's a see-through version, but we will be giving you a solid one when we offer you the video as a prize tomorrow night around 1:30. So if you're with us at 1:30 tomorrow, some questions about our programmes and about that film, and you could possibly win the video and the Buster rather pleasant shirt in our competition tomorrow. All good fun here on Anglia Through the Night. And back to tonight now. And coming up in a moment, more fun with the comedy Cop. Yes, Sledge Hammer meets a boyhood friend and ends up having a Western-style shootout with him. That's after the news here on Anglia. At 4:05 on Nighttime USA, a little country music from the Grand Ole Opry. That's after the shootout with Sledge Hammer.
Hammer, don't even try it. No, Hammer.
Now on Anglia, our detective who seems to have a head for trouble. Maybe he's a hammerhead. And this week he gets taken hostage by mistake. Yes, it's Sledge Hammer.
Glory, glory, hallelujah. Sledge Hammer, he's all shook up.
Sorry, there'll be no more impersonations of Elvis by me. I've been slipped a fiver by the station engineer, and he hasn't opened his wallet for the last 3 years. The Grand Ole Opry now!
See, we're back.
Now on Anglia, Sledge Hammer hunts out some vigilante cops who are killing freed criminals released through lack of evidence. This week's story, Magnum Farce.
Didn't I spot Phil Fothergill there in that dance routine? Don't know. I'll have a chance to catch up with the latest on the US top scene same time next week. We're coming up next is the latest news headlines from ITN. That's followed by our wacky detective Sledge Hammer. But it's time for me now to tell you just a fraction of what we've got in store for you tomorrow through the night. Starting at 10:45 with midweek sports special. That's followed at 12 by the Hammer House of Horror. Lock the doors. Make sure the cat's in the next room. With Growing Pains, starring Barbara Kellerman. Remember the lovely Barbara Kellerman in General Hospital? Oh, showing me age again. 1 o'clock we've got controversial discussion with Donahue, and this week he looks at what he calls the forgotten disease, herpes. That's Donahue at 1 o'clock tomorrow, followed at 2 by Quiz Night. At 2:30 we've got some really weird tales for you. This week a girly magazine publisher is enjoying the high life. But is he heading for a fall? You'll have to watch at 2:30 tomorrow. 3:05, we've got pop music for you, Rock of Europe with Janet Jackson and Sammy Hagar. And at 4, a brand new programme for us here on Anglia Through the Night, Family Affairs. It's a sort of agony column of the air. You write in with your problems and they try and sort you out. They being Mike Smith and Philip Hodson. That's tomorrow at 4. 4:30 sees Hillary's Adventures. Can you be swallowed by a live volcano? We'll find out tomorrow. Coming up next, it's the news from ITN.
More news later.
And our next trip to ITN will be just about 5 o'clock when we catch in for the morning news. But now, Sledge Hammer, he's going back to his student days.
And our thanks to good old Casey Kasem, counting them down again next week here on Nighttime USA, where we have the best of American programming every Tuesday through Wednesday night here on Anglia. Coming up in the moment, one of my most favourite cop series, it is indeed Sledge Hammer. This week, he breaks up a baby snatching ring, kind of a cradle snatching, I suppose, really. And after that, we go down to Nashville at 3:30 for the Grand Ole Opry. All that after the latest news from ITN, here in just a moment. As subtle as a sledgehammer, but more dangerous, David Rash plays the cop who shoots first and asks questions later, if anybody's still alive, that is. Some say Sledgehammer's a wet cop. Well, he was tonight, wasn't he? This is Nighttime USA from Anglia TV, and now a visit to the Grand Ole Opry.
We got a show.
Trust him, he knows what he's doing. Next week he meddles with The Kiss of the Spider-Woman. But now it's curtain up! Places, everybody! It's time for the Grand Ole Opry Live! Yeah!
Our super sleuth has been poisoned, but who will rush to save him? Why, himself, of course. But will he go down a dead end? Yes, it's Sledgehammer.
Yeehaw! In half an hour's time we're off to the Grand Ole Opry Live! But now, Sledgehammer... Hey, Sledge, where's your gun?
Now at Nighttime USA, the gun is loaded, the dice are loaded, and so too is Hammer as he seeks revenge on a violent robber in Sledgehammer.
Yes, and there certainly is more news. Coming up at 5 a.m. with the morning news, a roundup of world, American and home news. But now it's Sledgehammer. And we'll be rejoining Brenda Rowe and her dazzling necklace at round about 5 o'clock this morning. But now, stand by, it's Sledgehammer. All right, my loves, all right, stand in line, good game, good game. Yeah, we want to choose the next spaceman. Oh, you look a nice, healthy specimen. What's your name, Sledgehammer? That series is just brilliant. I love it. There he is, alone in his room, talking to his gun. I mean, what sort of guy sits alone in a room talking to himself?
But now it's Happy Honeymoon for Sledgehammer. Great, isn't he? Well, tomorrow night, 50 years... Yes, it's Sledgehammer.
Sports World Extra, but now a man who's 2 vouchers short of a golf club. I've had the same thing happen to my face, particularly...
Or was it murder? Sledgehammer investigates. I didn't know that car dealers actually wore hair pieces. It does account for one thing, of course. It's why they always say to you, that'll be £3,000 down, sir, and another 75 years to pay. Right, one of Tom Selleck's most recent film successes was 3 Men and a Baby, where he and Steve Guttenberg were faced with 1.5 hours of diaper changing at one. But now David Raish rounds up a few criminals in this week's story from Sledgehammer. Sledgehammer, sorry about the sound quality towards the end there.
It still looks silly, though. Coming up next, it's the news headlines, and then we've got more wacky cop comedy with Sledgehammer, possibly the most macho cop in the world. Next week, Sledgehammer's back on Friday at the earlier time of 12:20. And there's more Sledge Hammer at 4:10 on Thursday night. A reminder that we're now on British summertime and it's 4:58. Before the news from ITN.
Good old Sledgehammer dealing with a slimy limey there. Lovely. Now, tomorrow, lovely.
Hey, I said, now listen, just sit down, take it easy. Trust me, I know what I'm doing, like Sledgehammer. Oh, don't you just love that show? I think he's wonderful. Next week. Yeah, he did look a bit like Phil Fothergill, didn't he? With
It run away, won't leave him alone. Now here's someone who won't leave his gun alone. It's Sledgehammer.